A magistrate has condemned the behaviour of an amateur footballer who was involved in an ugly racial incident in Balaclava last year.
So they changed the NAB Auskick logo so that it said NAB Auschwitz, and posted that on their Facebook account with my son kicking the football wearing his kippah.
I remember my mum picked me up and I was crying in the car, and that's when she decided to go that next step and make contact with the ADC.
Dear friends, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about the important work of the B'nai B'rith Anti-Defamation Commission. For more than 30 years, the ADC has been on the front line, remaining true to its mission of fighting anti-Semitism and other forms of bigotry and hate whenever and wherever they occur. As the country's leading Jewish human rights organization, the ADC has never wavered in its condemnation of anti-Semitism or in its defense of the Jewish people, and has remained a force for change and a champion for our country's values. We have been steadfast in our commitment to ensuring a safe and fair society for Australians of all faiths and cultures.
So I had written in the diaries all the days that I couldn't work, all the Yom Tovim, and he cracked it saying, "Why do you have to be effing Jewish? You guys have so many effing holidays." And I was in shock at first and really confused, like, is it okay for him to say it, is it not? Like, if it's my first job, I really had no idea. And though I'd been working there for quite some time, it was still a really uncomfortable feeling for me.
We provide support to victims and education for offenders. We make sure people understand their legal rights and obligations. But we go beyond that. We show people that anti-Semitism arises from myths and misunderstandings, and it can be stopped.
On a daily basis, the ADC deals with complaints of anti-Semitism, monitors extremists, and works with other community groups, as well as the police and government, to take steps to expose anti-Semitism and to eradicate it. We also build bridges of communication and respect with a diverse range of faith and ethnic groups through school-based educational programs and interfaith initiatives that create avenues of understanding and dialogue.
The Multi-Faith Youth Leaders Camp fosters dialogue and builds close relationships with a generation of new leaders so as to cultivate and foster new bridges of communication.
This three-day event brings together young adults from various faith communities to create conversation, learn about each other's faiths, and develop a deeper understanding for a more tolerant society. Unique to this year's event was the participation of Aboriginal representatives as well as refugees from Afghanistan, Sri Lanka and Burma.
It's beneficial for the Jewish community for Jews to be involved in this and to run something like this, for the simple fact that anti-Semitism or any form of racism comes from lack of knowledge and education, and the best way to learn about a culture is to talk to them. And in that sense, many misconceptions have been corrected about every religion, and there's also just a greater level of knowledge now.
It's a great opportunity for young people to expand their sense of self, and an opportunity to help others grow as well as grow for yourself.
These 3 days have been amazing. I've never been through an experience like this. I've never sat down and actually talked with someone with another religion. What I'm going to take with me from this camp is unity, peace, respecting each other's religion, having quite a good knowledge about all the different religions and backgrounds and all that.
I can take the message back as well as educate and probably try to introduce other cultures to our own culture.
The great thing I found about it was that there were no things that were off topic. Anything could be discussed. I met people from the Muslim community, from the Christian community, Hare Krishna, Buddhists, Hindus, everyone, the whole gamut. And what was fantastic was that the relationships I made then have continued to this day. 5 years on, I'm still in contact with many of them. And not just that, but I'm able to pick up the phone or write them an email when there's an issue that happens which brings hard questions out in the open. And this dialogue, even though we might not always agree on things, this dialogue that I'm able to maintain with them is something fantastic and something I wouldn't have if I didn't go on the Multi-Faith Future Leaders program.
Anti-Semites are always looking for a new home to spread their vile and hate-filled messages. Sadly, the internet has become a superhighway for transmitting bigotry, providing an ideal avenue for those who want to disseminate hatred and providing a mask for individual users to unburden themselves anonymously. Now, every hate monger has a platform and a megaphone through websites, Facebook, and YouTube, and is able to reach a wider and broader audience than ever before with a click of the mouse. Children and young adults are therefore more vulnerable than ever, and so we need to find ways to counteract the internet's dark side and tackle this problem head on.
It was very important for us to have an organisation like the ADC to be able to contact. We initially had this really shock and revulsion about what had occurred, and we knew we didn't want to just let it lie, but we really weren't sure where to go and what to do next. So we contacted the ADC, and that having them to be able to support us makes a big difference. And you know, for a lot of people, I'm sure that's something that happens, and it's something that doesn't get publicly acknowledged very often.
So this next session that we're going to be doing now is looking at websites and learning to see what is credible, what is legitimate and what is not.
Click Against Hate is a program that the Anti-Defamation Commission has designed to empower children to take on and deal with the online dangers that occur on the internet, such as cyberbullying, identity theft, incitement, etc. We also have to equip ourselves with the ability to recognise whether a website is legitimate or not. So we look at all the elements that make up whether a website is true or not, and how to respond to all sorts of issues such as anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, etc.
To be able to fight fire with fire, we need to be able to respond to things that upset us.
Response has been excellent, and the more that we're getting out there, the more people are coming back to us with great feedback. It is a unique program. It is told through PowerPoint, video clips, and scenarios that are actually acted out by the students themselves for them to get a further understanding of what it feels like.
While we are enormously proud of all that we have accomplished and acknowledge that important progress has been won, we are aware that there is much work to be done. The disturbing resurgence of anti-Semitism around the world is one of the most serious and worrying manifestations of Jew hatred since the Holocaust. The ADC is dedicated to putting an end to this dangerous menace and to ensuring that Australia is a more inclusive home for all.
An Ocean Grove footballer is the first Victorian convicted of attacking someone because they were Jewish.
One of the challenges in trying to get people to understand that we've got the same rights as every other individual in society is that sometimes people look at a Jew and they think, we're from Israel, surely you know, go back to the land you came from. They don't necessarily see us as Australian. And one of the challenges and one of the things that ADC does effectively is tries to get people to look beyond the facade, look beyond the beard, look beyond the yarmulke and say, we're Australian deep down here. We've got the same rights to participate in society safely and securely. And it takes me back to the initial interview that I had with Neil Mitchell the day after the assault transpired. And the question was, will you move with your family overseas? In other words, will you go back to where you came from almost? And my answer to that question was, I was born in Australia and I'll die in Australia, proudly Australian. And the message we're trying to get across is we're all members of society, and we might have a religion that's a little bit different, but we are Australian to the core, and we should be treated as such as Australians. And rather, when an event transpires in Israel that people see that there's an opportunity to sledge or attack Australian-based Jews, they should say, hey, we're Australians, and we have pride of place here, whether it be on university campus or anywhere else, that we should feel safe and secure in who we are.
Coming from my experience, I understand that not everyone's like this and not every workplace is going to be like this. Unfortunately, I had a run-in with this person And I'm just thankful enough that I had the ADC to go to and to take that next step and stop telling myself that it was okay and actually do something and be proactive about it.
As Senator Robert Kennedy once noted, when we fail to speak up and speak out, we strike a blow against freedom, decency, and justice. Anti-Semitism has no place in a civilized society, and this ugly phenomenon must never be met by silence. And so, it falls to each one of us to contribute to this mission. The challenges and the persistent threats that lie before us are not easy, but together, with your support and your resolve, we can carry on with our commitment of fighting anti-Semitism, advancing justice, and protecting the community as we have done so for more than 3 decades. Thank you.